Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we are going to discuss the topic Wagner's hypothesis of public expenditure. आज हम ये जानने की कोशिश करें कि जो वैगनर्स है एडोल्फ वैगनर, he was a German economist. He tries to find out what is his hypothesis about the public expenditure. Before that, we will try to understand what is public expenditure. Public expenditure is that expenditure, or it is that part of a budget of the economy which has been spent by the public, which has been spent by the government on the different sectors. That's called the public expenditure. Then what is the viewpoint according to the Wagner? What is the hypothesis? What is the hypothesis of the Wagner regarding the public expenditure? Actually, the Adolf Wagner, who was a German economist and he was one of the brilliant economists, he tries to find out the level of economic development with the public expenditure. What is the role of public expenditure? What is the role of public expenditure which leads to the economic development of the country or economic development of the economy? Adolf Wagner, he proposed a law of increasing state activities. Law of increasing state activities. Law of increasing state activities. He studied the historical facts of the Germany, and he said that every government, whether the national government, whether the subnational government, has an inherent tendency to increase the state activities in order to increase the social welfare, in order to increase the social welfare of the people, or to develop the economy of that state, or to develop the economy of that country. Wagner's law was more of an empirical investigation than a theoretical one. It did not reveal the inner compulsion under which the government increases the state activities. एक्चुअली जो एडोल्फ वैगनर था ये इस बात पर जोर दे रहा था कि जो एक गवर्नमेंट होती है ये स्टेट एक्टिविटीज इंक्रीज करती है. The general tendency of the Wagner's hypothesis, it was fall in the long term, not in the short term. It means that the government increases the state activities, the government increases the public expenditure, but for the long term and for the long run, not in the short run. If the government increase the public expenditure for the short term purposes, for the short run or for the short period of time, it leads to financial difficulties. It hurdles the various problems which can be faced by the economy, which will lead to the recession in the economy. कहने का मतलब ये है कि जो ये public expense जो Wagner's hypothesis है, ये लॉन्ग रन को ज़्यादातर जोर देता है. इट लीड्स टू द लॉन्ग रन. दैट मीन्स कि जो गवर्नमेंट एक्सपेंडिचर करती है वो लॉन्ग रन के लिए करता है. His study was based on the historical factors, the precise quantitative relationship between the extent of increase in public expenditure and time taken by which has not been figured out by the functional or the logical manner. The main contention, the Wagner's main contention was to increase the public expenditure, but it cannot be used to extrapolate the future rate of growth. This was the main contention of the Wagner's hypothesis, to increase the public expenditure, but it cannot be used to extrapolate the increase the future rate of growth. The government increases the state activities. Initially, they focused on the education sector, health, civic amenities, and various other sectors which the government are trying to develop very well in, and the government expenditure was more on those sectors as compared to the other sectors. Wagner was emphasizing a long-term tendency rather than short-term changes. Moreover, he was not interested in the mechanism of increase in public expenditure. For example, the government spends the money on the different sectors, such as the government spends the money on different sectors, such as education sector, roads, communication, transport, etc. etc. यहाँ पे जो वैगनर है he supposed that if there is an education sector fully developed, there is not necessary to increase the public expenditure on education as well. Just increase the public expenditure on the transport sector, communication sector more and more, so that these sectors will also develop. Thus, in the initial stage of economic growth, state finds that it has to increase and expand the state activities at faster rate, like in such sectors like education, health, civic amenities, and transport, communication, so on and so forth. But when the initial kick is no longer needed, then the increase in state activities may slow down. I hope that you have got some pointers in the Wagner's hypothesis. This was a brief description about the Wagner's hypothesis. Thanks for watching the video.